But you've seen this kind of, and you can look through this history and see, okay, where would I want to range this? How low am I willing to go and still feel like I'm safe? Well, possibly 17,000 Titanx per 1 volt. And how high do you want to go? Well, how high do you want to watch it go? And how concerned are you about generating fees along the way? You might want to go tighter. But if you're going tight on a position like Volt Titanx, you got to be ready. You got to be ready to not sleep. You got to be ready to constantly watch this thing. And if you go out of range and you're sitting all Titanx on your LP, you're going to want to have a plan in place. So you're going to buy half of that volt bag back immediately and then set a new range, because you got to make a decision where either you're going to be holding your volt bag or you're going to be exiting with it. And when are you comfortable with exiting? Marco's probably watching this, shaking his head. He's like, you're talking about exiting at 0.0025. Like, are you an idiot? No, I'm not talking about doing that. But if there's a need for it, right? That's there. But either way, so this is where I go to find the native token price to help me start to understand where I'm going to be ranging this thing. So we won't do that right off the bat, though. So we're in uniswap.org. If you don't know this, you're okay. You're like brand new, right? And you're doing this for the first time. So this is uniswap.org. This is where you swap your ETH to get into the Titanx ecosystem. This is where you're swapping back and forth between tokens in the ecosystem and getting yourself back into ETH or whatever you want to be doing. But there's this tab right here, pool. You click the pool. Great. And Uniswap is doing Unichain. Good for them. And I have, I have old positions on this wallet. Check that out. Holy cow. I'm going to hide my closed positions. So you start a new position. Yeah, right. So I'm going to start a new position. So we're going to add liquidity. And so let's keep it easy. Let's go ETH. Let's go Titanx.
Oh, it popped up this time.
How about that? So I want everybody to know, here's another thing as well. And Jake maybe can speak on this as well. You can be concerned about it, or you can just let it go. Most of the Titanx ecosystem tokens, when you're LPing on them, are going to show this pool out of sync notification. The pool is not out of sync. Everything is fine. Your LP will go through. It will start earning fees. There's something that Uniswap doesn't like about what we're all doing in our booming ecosystem that causes this message to come up. Jake knows the specifics of it, or it potentially knows the specifics of it, but it's actually not a risk. So everything still displays properly. So when you get this window, you see your pair, you see the fee tier, it's going to default to the 1% pool. That's where you want. See, this is where I heavily rely on DEX Screener when I'm looking here, because they do a really good job of actually displaying the percent pool that you're looking for.
Well, you're at DEX Tools, right?
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's where I switch over to DEX Tools to confirm the actual percent pool, because for some reason or another, I get really confused when I'm going through DEX Screener and actually finding it shows that it's a V3, but it doesn't show the percent. And maybe someone could school me on that there, because I've never been able to find the actual percent pool that I'm in easily through DEX Screener. So that's where I go to DEX Tools. And if you take the Titanx chart, for example, so this is where people can start to get an understanding of how you're doing the research beforehand, all your pre-work. We're at 1325. The hell happened?
Whoa!
Go us! All right, so
Whoa.
You can yeah, that just happened.
Whoa.
We hit 14.
Whoa.
Holy cow!
If
All
you
right,
just
so
tried an LP position, you're now out of range.
Miners are 7.59% underwater. Negative 7%.
I thought you were gonna say positive. I was gonna be like, it's it.
Dude, I was thinking.
I was like, breaking news.
Okay, so I just copied the contract. Okay, if anybody doesn't even know this part either. So you have your Titanx. Here's the LP pair. If you're sharing pairs back and forth, that's for somebody that's like, I'm in the 0.3 pool, not the 1% pool. You're like, well, how do I know? Here's the pair address. You put that in, it'll take you right to the pairing, not the actual, it'll take you to the token and that actual pool pairing. But what I want to showcase here is that you can just get the contract address right here. And you can always go into the Titanx Telegram and type in CA, and Rose will give you the actual contract. And you can double check it here. But you copy and paste this here. This is where you're going to get a really nice view of everything that's going on. Don't know why this shows up here. Don't pay attention to that. You want it to show Titanx wrapped ETH or your Titanx USDC pool. But this is where you start getting an idea. Okay, we have our liquidity, and we have our volume, and we have the percent pool. There is a 0.3 pool on Titanx wrapped ETH that is currently doing 1.1 million. It's doing the same amount of volume as the main 1% pool that's been in existence since the beginning, that has 7 million in liquidity on it. So that's just something that people need to start understanding. If you're talking about your liquidity going into a pool and you're concentrating it on a price range, and it's doing $1 million amongst 200,000 in liquidity versus 7 million in liquidity, the amount of fees that are going to be going to those holders on that 0.3 pool are going to be way more in the fee total. Well, we're talking about the 0.3. It's going to be way more fees going to the holders, but potentially not as much as going to the 1% holders. Hope that makes sense. But when you're doing something like $1 million in volume on 204x liquidity to volume ratio, and it's on the 0.3 pool, which you would need it doing 3 to 4 times more to get the same amount of fees. It's doing that right now. Now, Jake would get all over me about where the liquidity is concentrated and what's actually in range on the 1% and how you can, there's all kind of game theory there. And we get into that in the LP group, right? But I'm just saying, if it was like straight up the same LP and everything was in the same range within those liquidity ranges between the 1% and the 0.3, and the 0.3 is doing 4x volume over liquidity than compared to the 1%, you're probably hitting a good play there to properly concentrate liquidity and potentially pull more fees if you're going after fees and not going for one-sided exit. Okay. Wow. So back to here. So we found that. So we're in the Titanx ETH pool. So what you're going to notice here is that you have a price range, right? Now you can toggle this. This is where people can get into all the different things. If you want to just set it and forget it, right? You got your Titanx, you got your ETH, you got a split 50-50. Maybe you got 5,000 in ETH and $5,000 in Titanx. You're going to go full range. Boom. Low price 0, high price infinity. You're just going to always be in range, and you're going to pull in whatever fees your amount of liquidity does versus the total amount of liquidity and volume that's going on that pool. But if you're interested in concentrated liquidity, that's where you click off can I click off the full range, guys? No, I can't now. Great.
Yeah, it always does this, man.
I'm going to refresh.
As soon as you put it on full range, it's like, there they go. You're not getting them back.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm not getting them back, huh?
Yeah, you got to go like out of it, come back in. Oh.
Like completely out?
Yeah, you got to go out and then come back in. It's a thing, dude.
Wow, guys.
This is why I just say go into farms, guys. You don't have to deal with any of this. Just go to farms.
All right, back to the pools. New position. Titanx.
Hey, Nathan, just so you know, you're occasionally breaking up a little bit on the audio. Like
really?
The internet's coming in. Yeah, the internet's coming in a little choppy occasionally here.
You know what it is I've got way too many windows open. I should have closed them out. Okay, well, it is what it is. I'll take it slower. So, hey, guys, what we mean when we say one-sided exit, you have your sliders down here. So we're not on a full range, right? You can take this thing right up to so this is your current price. And you can confirm that right here. If you go back to your old, what I just showed you before, and you search Titanx. See, probably anything I search or do here is probably making it break up. But All right, so we want this to display in the native price. So this is another trick, guys. If you want it to actually display in the price that Uniswap is displaying in, you're going to want to invert the pair. And so now you can get it to show you that it's 1.85 billion Titanx per ETH, right? So that's what we want. We want to know what is Titanx per ETH. And you see the slider sitting right around here below the 2 billion mark. I'm sorry if I said million before, but it's, so you see how we're starting to get in there and we see 1.8 billion, between 1.8 billion and 2 billion. That makes sense. We're at 1.85 billion, right? So that's where it is. So I'm going to bring the slider back. But if we're talking about a one-sided exit, you want your LP to sell all of your Titanx over to ETH. And you don't want to you don't want to incur slippage. And you have a ton and you're trying to swap your Titanx for ETH. And it's showing you're going to lose like hundreds or thousands of dollars because of how much you're trying to sell off. Well, this is where you come. So you put your slider right just above that line right there. And now what you're doing is you're telling it, am I not displaying this properly?
You might have to, you gotta slide it the other way.
Other way.
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody.
It's Nathan's first day.
Yeah.
Let me pause you right there. So what we're talking about, what this main point is say at some point in the future you have a large bag of Titanx and you're like, all right, I'm ready. I'm at Valhalla. I'm ready to cash in. Okay. Mm-hmm. If you do a market sell, let's hypothetically say you're going to sell $100,000 worth of Titanx. If you do a straight market sell on Uniswap, you will not get $100,000 worth of Ethereum. It will not happen. You will incur slippage. That slippage will depend on how much liquidity is in there, but it could be significant. In low liquidity pairs, you can eat a ton of slippage. But say you're going to sell $100,000, maybe on the back end, you only get 94,000 out. Well, I mean, maybe if you only put a couple thousand in, you're coming out with 94,000. Maybe you don't care. But most of us look at that and go, I don't want to lose $6,000. I want to sell $100,000 and I want to get $100,000. So if you exit single-sided the way that he's about to show you right now, you will not do a market sell. It will not hit the chart in a giant red candle. That's the most important part. This is how we're going to exit out of a large position without hindering the chart. So it's beneficial to everyone. Now here, let me add this little extra bit on there. Say you had 2 bags that were 100,000 a piece and you sell 1. That slippage is going to nuke that chart down that much. So now your second bag isn't worth $100,000 anymore, because if you just nuke the chart down 5%, well, now your $100,000 bag is now worth $95,000. But you're still going to eat slippage on this next one. So now maybe you're down to 91. So you just lost 9,000 on one, you lost another 5,000 on another. You could have exited out with the 200,000 single-sided, and instead of losing in slippage, you will actually gain value through the fees that are accumulating in the system. You will gain fees through your exit in single-sided, and you could possibly exit with maybe 205, maybe a little bit more. Now, this is not financial advice. None of these things are set in stone. This is just an example and a hypothetical that I'm telling you. But the idea is any large sell that hits the chart, or that you do with a market sell, is going to hit the chart in a red candle. If you have other bags, that hurts those bags. Yeah. So if you can exit in a way that doesn't hurt your bags and it doesn't hurt everybody else, and the price keeps going up, why wouldn't you want to do that? Well, that's what we're doing right here. That's the important part.
And it's like you're temporarily adding your tokens as your own portion of liquidity to the overall pool. Other than that, you're just selling your tokens into the existing liquidity and you're pulling from everybody else's liquidity, right? But if you make it your own, that's what you're taking from. And that's why it doesn't affect the chart, because you temporarily put your liquidity in there, it's fulfilled, and you just take it right back out. But here's where this is where you're kind of at the mercy of how Uniswap is seeing the ranges and where they're setting the current price, because you can get it. Sometimes you can get it right up close to that line, and the next buy. And if you're timing with the buy and burn, that's another aspect that's really cool about the Titanx ecosystem is you have the advantage of pretty much every protocol having a buy and burn on a timed interval where you can queue up your range, your one-sided, and know that the next thing coming, if you hit the transaction at the right time, is going to be a buy. It'll throw you into range, and as long as you might, depending on how things are going, you might have to wait a little bit. But at the same time, so it's always good to earn fees in those times. So you could pull in a little bit of fees that cover the gas that it took to start up the LP. But this is a good example of, and let's see if you could go even tighter. Like if you wanted to exit, so Uniswap only let you go this close together on this one. But this is saying that at the current, you're a little bit out of range at where it's going to be approaching 18.508 billion. I'm sorry, 1.85 billion Titanx per 1 ETH. So as Titanx outpaces Ethereum, you're going to get less. Correct me if I'm wrong here, guys. So you're getting less Titanx per 1 ETH, right? Because Titanx is becoming more valuable. 1 ETH buys you less Titanx. That's the way you're going to sell off all of your Titanx into Ethereum. And so the closest Uniswap will let you put the one side in this case is from 1.85 to 1.81. So
for beginners, I try to tell them to not really worry about the numbers too much, and that what you just need to pay attention to is the percentages. And so if you set it at, negative 10%, you're saying that you're going to exit out fully 10% higher from where we are. And that's really what you got to look at. If you want to look at what you're trying to do here, if you want to sell your $2,000 out and you set it at a 10% exit, then you will be fully exited out at about that 2,200 mark.
So there you go. And it pulled away a little bit right there just then. So, and this is ever changing. You could have a position perfectly set up and it could change last second. You just have to learn to go with the flow and update as you're seeing things change. Like the line just moved a little bit. That means someone sold again just then. I mean, you could start to sit here and look at this and what's going on. The more you get into this, you start looking at the price per ETH or the ratio of the tokens, and you kind of know where the price, without even looking at the chart, you start knowing where the price is actually, the more you get in tune with how these things work. Now, the other aspect of this, like I was saying before, if you're going exotic, let's see if it comes up. Not there. So if your token doesn't come up, so it's a good example. You're going to want to go to the chart.
I would suggest don't even search, because there's so many things up there that you could end up getting in the wrong pair. Automatically,
find the right don't even search. Address. Go to what is the token. Go to the Telegram. Type in CA.
I'll tell you what. Go to Mike Dean's.
Or you can just keep it simple. You go to the website.
Yeah, well, I was going to say go to.
I thought that was Titanx. Johnny. I'm like, Johnny, what happened to your voice?
I was going to say go to Titanx Hub, and then you click on the individual protocol website, and on those websites are the contract addresses at the bottom of every website.
There you go.
So Titanx Hub, then you find your links that way. Sorry, go ahead.
You can actually go into the Titans of LP group and just type Hub, and it'll take you right there as well if you're interested.
There you
go. So here, just to let everybody see now too. So here's what's happening with when it's an exotic pair, and you're talking about a ratio. You're talking about Titanx per volt, right? In this scenario, so same rules apply, but it's the ratio that has to move. You're not talking about waiting for like Titanx to outpace ETH in order to fulfill your position, right? Here, it's going to be a game back and forth of like, Titanx is pumping, Volt is pumping, which one's pumping more? Is the ratio going up, down? Because right now it looks like we're almost going to be we're probably in the 18, 19, getting into the, we looked at before, it's in the high 18s right now. So, me personally, I have a pretty wide position on Volt right now because I have just personal interest in things that I'm working on and doing. I have it set pretty far up. So it's not about the fees; it's about what I'm accumulating in liquidity as I go up. So
if someone has a bunch of Volt right now and they want to get back into Titanx, would you like? I know it's kind of pedantic because we just showed everybody, but show them with this exotic pair what they're doing to sell their Volt.
yeah. So if you're ever questioning the sliders, what you want to do is if you want to go into another, you want to sell your token into the other token. Just make sure that it's the only thing showing up at the bottom. Move the sliders, see what happens. Uniswap will let you know. As soon as you go below it, it's going to start asking for some Titanx, right? Some people do that, though. It's like you can give yourself a little bit of cushion. It's a one-sided with a little bit of insurance, right? You put a tiny amount of Titanx in there, and if it does pull back a little bit, you're fine. You're still going to be in range, and then watch it go up there. But in this case, you want it to show all of the opposite token that you want to go out in, right? In this case, you got a big bag of Volt. You want it to go all Titanx, so you're going to be putting all of your Volt, or not, guys, don't do that. Put some of your Volt into a one-sided LP, right? So this is telling you right.
And in this example, you have it set 3% above the price. So that means that right now we got to wait for the Volt price to rise up 3.8.
And that again, that's not under our control, everybody. So it's how, and you can toggle these like more fine-tuned ones. If you hit minus a little bit, it'll let you get pretty close. It'll let you get 1.14. But if you go any more, you're 0.86 below. But in that case, let's put our $70,000 bag of Volt into that. But you see what I'm talking about, though. So if you have like 100,000 in Volt that you want to put in, $2,000, you're going to one side, and you're going to put this tight, right? You're going to put it tight in there, 10% above. It's asking for $241 worth of Titanx in order to start this right here. Or else you're waiting for it to dip back, and then you're hitting the LP right then. Or you're moving right above it. Maybe it'll get a little bit closer, and you're still good, right? But, the buy and burn's going to hit here, in 3 more minutes, and it might even jump up to that and be in range if you did this. So
Johnny disappeared because of his dog. That's funny.
What?
You're back.
I'm back. I'm back. Damn dog.
You're fine, man. Okay, Jake.
So,
hey,
Mo, can you make me can you force me to unshare my screen?
I can do it
because I don't want to click back with all the stuff I got going on my main tab.
I got you.
Good docs, all of his stuff.
I don't want to click. Yeah, it's just pictures of me and my kids holding up our crypto passphrase.
Nice. Good
What's up,
job,
Jake?
man.
Yep.
What's going on, sir?
I didn't want to jump in because education was going on. I streamed most of it. That's good.
So how you doing today, sir? We're one day out of the Element 280 launch. How's that?
Oh yeah. So Element 280 added. So if you go to Element 280 stats, it shows how much Titanx has been deposited. It's roughly around 1.5 trillion in the first day.
That's amazing.
That's pretty sick. That's pretty good. I mean, Element 280 is going well, man. Like for how complex the protocol is, it's very well designed. The interface is very clean. But let's just say October is not over yet.
No, it is not.
And look at that. Someone chatted before that there's an LP manager section, so you can LP right from their DApp.
What?
Yeah, so what the LP manager does is it essentially allows you to add liquidity positions and withdraw liquidity positions without paying the tax in and out.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I got you.
Okay.
So still gas fees.
If you do it through
Gnarly.
Still gas fees, but this allows you to not pay the transfer tax because the contract for adding liquidity and withdrawing liquidity is whitelisted. So that's a cool addition.
That's
awesome.
Cool.
That's gnarly. Appreciate that, dude. That's what's up, man.
Dude.
Yeah, and if you go add liquidity, you can add liquidity to all the pairs. So, for example, you can do Titanx. If you click select token under add liquidity, select token to drop down.
Look at that.
Look at this guy, Tricky Ricky. This is like a backdoor DEX. It's like a backdoor Uniswap, dude.
I love this.
Wow.
This is awesome.
You know, I saw like 5 different streams with him talking about 280, and I didn't see this at all. I'm sure he talked about it a bunch, but I didn't see
I
it.
actually
bit.
heard where he did. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, but the thing
Wow.
I'm most excited about is October. So we had Element 280 launch, we had Awesome X launch. What else launched in October? We have Ouroboros coming up, Alien X,
Farms.
Morpheus
Farms.
potentially, Farms.
Farms, yeah.
This is all October because everybody's trying to get out before hyperinflation hits. So that's a big one.
Yeah.
And you guys are working on Warp, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yep.
Explain
Working
what that
hard. Working hard, chef.
Yeah,
Working hard.
it's working hard. And especially after some of we're working hard. We're making some cool updates, especially since the spaces today and some of your recent tweets on how we're approaching inputs into that protocol.
Yeah.
Is it going to be
Now's a
multiple
good time
inputs?
to talk about it.
I mean, it's going to be we're what we're trying to do is build out the build on hyper ecosystem, essentially. So we're looking at this this whole idea of crafting this concept of Titanx being kind of like this mothership floating through outer space, and it's like super futuristic, right? So you got it's vast, right? And you got and it's endlessly expandable, right? It's got this infinity hall, right? And now you suddenly have this big pillar being built up straight through the middle of this big landscape that's going to be the volt wheel, right? And at the base of that, you got like the volt encampment around it, and then you got all these other hubs built around this landscape where you got I'm calling it the Dragon X Mecca, and you got Hyper City, and you got the Element 2, or you got the Helios Dome, right? And you got the Hydra mines in there. So you got all these people coming traveling to this mothership. So Warpex is bringing the next phase into Hyper. Even though, you know, Dave's got I'm sorry, Steve's got his thing, right, that he's got going on with his whole concept. He's going through these protocols with his pillars and building up to the volt wheel. We're going to keep it in Hyper, right? There's going to be connectivity there. I mean, with how we're going to provide liquidity and how we're going to connect through the ecosystem, that's all going to be there. But the focus is on the Hyper community and building out what we think could potentially be coming. We're taking a bet at it that Hyper is going to have its own expanded community, its own experience with different protocols starting to build on it. And if there's a way that Warpex can be the introduction to helping build that out, eventually tie all those together, help buy and burns work off of each other and keep everything connected, that's definitely what we're going for.
Nice.
But, you know, at the same time, Jake, you know, it's like, do you take, when you start right off the bat, when I started writing out a white paper, it's like, I thought it's like, boom, you know, you have the idea, put it down, you start writing, and it's like, no, that's not going to work. And then you go to bed and you start thinking, you come back, you're like, start writing again. You're like, yeah, that might do it. But then this whole other thing comes up, and then it's like nonstop, just like thinking about these things. It's like, if I wanted to, you know, it's like very quickly, it's like, yeah, you know, should it just be Hyper as the input token into something? It's like, wow, I don't know. Are you limiting yourself with that? How much do you need to try and open it up beyond that? You know, so those are kind of things we're going through with the code right now. But this is cool stuff. We have such great artists at our disposal in this ecosystem. It's nuts, man. It's really nuts.
It's so
I
good.
could never do something like this.
Yeah.
But there's Hyper City, right? Warpex is coming into Hyper City. We're bringing the next load of on-ramping users to the ecosystem, right? So we're fueling up on Earth. We're going to launch. We're going to get up to the mothership. We're going to start building out the infrastructure in Hyper, and move on from there. So that's mission 1 of Warpex, right? There's going to be more coming after that, but we want to get Warpex established. We want to get things moving. We want to help people find a way to start fighting off the massive inflation they see coming down the road, and potentially work within the community to help find a way to put their hyper to work for them.
Yeah, there's a fun story of Warpex. Nathan and myself.
One tip, have you tried removing the X from the name? I think Warp is better than Warpex.
That's, I don't know. I haven't thought of that. Warp is a cool name, right? But it's just Facebook. Like it's so it's so recognizable to have the X after the protocol names at this point, right? But
yeah, but some things don't need it. Like Volt, for example, Hyper, all that don't have X. I think Warp is a great name. I think it confuses it by adding the extra syllable to it. So like just Warp, it also looks great as a ticker.
That's true.
Fact. Write it down.
Luckily, we didn't start marketing so heavy yet.
Warpex, now Warp.
Yeah, the names don't matter at all.
You want to talk at all about the tokenomics at all behind it?
Go ahead, Jake.
Before we get into that, I think for build on Titanx, using Titanx as the input token is by far the best because you can get the highest level of adoption. Because when you look at users across the ecosystem, every token is like a subset of I wouldn't say Titanx holders because every token attracts different people, but everybody has access to Titanx via some way or another, and it has roughly 70,500 users now. So by using Titanx as the input token and then routing through the pool, like for example, if you want to go build on Hyper, you use Titanx, it buys Hyper, and then Hyper buys your pair. Mm-hmm. If you link to Hyper, is the best way to do it because then you get most adoption and you force buy volume to the pool you want to force buy volume through. Because otherwise you add an extra point of friction.
Can you do it like Element 280 does, where they have the toggle where you can do it with ETH, but it has to buy through the Titanx that way? Or is it just still better to just go through Titanx?
Well, it depends what the goal is. Like Hyper, when people enter Hyper with Ethereum, all of the Ethereum buys Titanx and burns 20%. So like with these protocols, you have the opportunity of forcing buy volume and burn volume to the pairs and the routes that you want it to do. So you can force the ratios up. Because another thing, so let's assume Warp is paired with Hyper and you use Hyper as an input token. That's the theoretical now. So you have Hyper Warp as the pool. So if you use Hyper as your input token and then it buys and burns Warp, for example, the Hyper would buy Warp and then burn it. So you get one time the buy effect. But if you use Titanx, for example, you enter Titanx to the protocol, you only have the Hyper Warp pair. The Titanx buys Hyper. That creates a buy wick, and then you use the Hyper to buy Warp, so you get double the buy pressure with one buy route. So that's why I'm a big fan of using Titanx as the input, because you can force value to have twice the effect as you push it through the route.
This is great.
Great.
Yeah,
you get the most adoption, and you force it, and you get double the effect. I think
yeah,
it's nice.
No, that was because at the same time, I was just like trying not to shoot ourselves in the leg, right? Because if it's and do right by the ecosystem, because you're right. If it's like if you're going on the route of an auction, which limited auction, a quick one, right? And you have cap supply, like say we're looking at 8 days. If it's all Hyper, you're burning Hyper, but you're not getting that buy pressure, like you're saying. It's like it's great, it's a burn, and then we're getting a buy on Warp. Let's start saying Warp.
It's so nice.
But no, I see exactly. I've been going through it all day today, and I see where the benefit is there. But then it's like if you had an option, Titanx and Hyper, still it's like, am I then shooting myself in like 50% by offering Hyper as a auction method and Titanx as an auction method, right?
There's only one way to do it, and you force people to enter the auction through the ratio in the pool. So if one Hyper is 3.1 Titanx, as people enter the auction, that would be like 0. Now how much would that be? Whatever, it would be the same amount of Titanx as it would in Titanx price, and the only way you would get that is by reading through the pool, the exact ratio, because otherwise you create arbitrage in between the input tokens. which creates the negative effect you're talking about. But that's relatively advanced code, because I've written it before for an arbitrage protocol, which I kind of have ready, but we haven't found the right time yet. But that kind of stuff is relatively advanced because you need to update it constantly. So as soon as a user interacts with the protocol, it needs to store that pool ratio. So that's when you get into complex code. But if you only use Titanx, you don't have all those issues.
So is there ever concern in any of these launches where it's like, so build on hyper is like been coming up a lot, right? There's a lot of stuff coming. I love that one right there. That guy's about to.
Yeah, it looks nice. I like the logo.
Yeah, and it's got the X in it, right? Well, yeah, it's got the X in it. You don't need the X. You don't need the X. That's why it's in the logo. What was I going to say? If the concern over a sell-off of one token to get back into, so it's like if it's just Titanx, are you going to see this big sell-off of hyper over to Titanx to get into the protocol? You know,
not. I mean, it's kind of. So this is interesting. So if you use hyper to get into warp as the input token, you might not get the sell-off. But if people sell off the Titanx and then the warp buys it back anyway through the route, it's neutral. So you get more adoption, you get double the buy effect, and you get neutral on the price. If that's the thing you're concerned with. Because it all goes back in anyway.
Yeah, that really was our only concern with doing it
because you have the same effect with Hydra, for example. But it doesn't matter because it all buys Dragon X back anyway and it burns.
Right. Yeah, that was our biggest thing. Is like the last thing we wanted to do was have people sell down one thing to get into another. You know.
Yeah.
We definitely didn't want that.
You know, the other aspect, you know, is if we're going to be the way that we're using the actual tokens that are being sent through the auction, you know, massive amount through the buy and burn, some to Genesis. But if you're going to be storing a portion of it as well for like a something that you have coming as like a phase 2 for a protocol, that is that's where we're keeping our sights set. It's like, let's establish ourselves. Of course, you know, we're now like throwing our hats in the ring to be builders in the ecosystem, which is just like, it's crazy to even be here, to start like just being a mod in the chat, and it's like suddenly we're putting our hat in the ring here. But then you're gonna make this like a rather a pretty sizable store value, where you're gonna then put that back into a secondary phase. And with this mindset of, okay, are we truly going to see this boom in like the build on hyper, and can we be the ones that are there to help pull that all together and bond them together through this secondary phase? That's just like, this is like the overall kind of vision that's going on.
Yeah, we can definitely talk about it in DMs if you want to brainstorm some. Just make a group chat, put me in there.
Okay,
we'll go kind of back and forth on the game theory stuff.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Building is fun, man.
No, it's been amazing so far. The amount of people that we've gotten connected, the amount of support. It's like it almost gets you emotional. Just the way that people this ecosystem works. There's nothing like it. I mean, being out in the wild west when you're on your own solo and you're just throwing ETH at like a meme coin, and it rugs, and then it rugs again, and then it rugs again. You know, it's like. Not here. Yeah, it's
pump
crazy.
Fun, man. Pump fun.
Yeah, pump fun.
Man, that shit is cancer. I fucking
hate all of it. It's bad. It's real bad. Yeah. That's why we love this ecosystem, right? It's because and that's why we love doing what we do, because people can be like, hey, what do you think of this pair? That's a badass pair, dude. You should LP on that. What do you think about this pair? That's also a badass pair. You should LP. You know what I mean? And they don't have to. We keep people from going and searching for that fee envy, because now Farms is here, and Farms so far is working out better than having a concentrated liquidity position with the same amount of money. So if you have $10,000 in Farms and then you have $10,000 in concentrated liquidity, yeah, you might make more concentrated liquidity if you have like a degen 2% range. But if you're trying to at least play it a little safe and go 30-30 or 40-40, you're still going to make more money on farms. And I've been constantly like showing receipts to people on metric. I'll go to metrics. I'll do the whole, 40-40. This is what you would make with your amount of money in this pool. This is what you'll make in farms. And you don't have to worry about anything in farms. It's literally set it, forget it. That's it. And it's beautiful for people that have never done liquidity providing before. It's such an easy button. It's like, just come in. You're providing liquidity. You are providing liquidity. You are a liquidity provider. You're also earning this cool incentive in Tink. You're also earning that. Oh, guess what? It's a deflationary incentive coin. What? And people are like, oh, the price is nuking. The price is nuking. I'm like, I've seen this play out before, guys. It's not my first day in farms. Just chill out. You know what I mean? Just chill out. And then it's let the thing do what it's got to do. Let it cook. Let it bake a little bit.
I've seen it so many, and I've seen it so many times in so many pairs where people try to provide degen concentrated liquidity. Whack out.
Yep,
whack
that's it.
Out.
In an hour.
I'm like, poor guys. Yep.
It
just happened on Titanx. I just saw it. I was like, oh, poor guy. He was like, oh, let me provide some concentrated liquidity in a 5% range. Whack.
Nope. And I tell people, that's the first thing I tell people is, here's what not to do. And I even have that in one of my videos, like what to do, what not to do. Here's what to do. Now here's what not to do. It's because people go to those calculators like metrics, like as great as those calculators are, I kind of hate them because you could be like, oh man, I could make $1,200 a day at this fucking 2% range. Hell yeah, I'm going to do this because I'm going to make $1,200. Well, if you get extremely lucky, you'll stay in range for like 4 or 5 hours. Yeah. And you'll start pulling in some nice fees. And then next thing you know, one guy buys or dumps and you're out. And now you're like, oh God, now I have to chase the candlestick up or down because I don't know what the hell I'm doing because I didn't pay attention to John's video.
And Gwei is over 60.
Gwei's over 60. Now you're paying, 45 to enter or just to do a trade because now you got to rebalance everything. Yeah, it's such a headache. That's why I just tell people, just go to farms, 50%, 50%.
Yeah.
Whatever you have in this one, you have in this one, you call it a day, and it's very simple. Very simple.
Yeah, and also,
hey guys,
also
I got to back out. I'm so sorry. I've hit my time limit. I'm well.
Yeah, I just saw what time it was. Sorry, man. I appreciate you coming in very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you, Mo. This is not the end of this, and Jake, I'll hit you up in the DMs.
Sweet.
And Johnny, I'll be talking to you all night.
Yeah, I'll talk to you in an hour.
Yeah. All right. Bye, guys. Thanks, Mo.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
The other benefit of farms is you can't get whacked out because it's full range.
No, people don't understand that. People are like, well, I thought Jake said there's no impermanent loss. I'm pissed off that I'm getting impermanent loss. I'm like, guys, calm down. Here's the thing. Yes, you're going to, anytime you touch liquidity, there's a impermanent loss. I was like, first of all, remember what I said in every damn video and every damn stream I've ever done, 5% of your total portfolio bag, no more. Okay? Because if one thing goes one way and one thing goes another, which is going to happen, it's going to happen. At one point, one of your coins is going to do this a little bit faster than this one. If you love both coins, who cares? That's first of all. Second of all, if you only have a little tiny chunk of your portfolio in there, you don't give who gives a shit? It's 5% of your bag. You're just creating fees. That's it. Use it almost as like a savings account. And I'm going to have to make a video on this, like different like strategies. But one of them could be as simple as, instead of dumping your money in your fiat bank, I use it as a savings account. So I'll dump $100 or $200 in every once in a while and just use that. And I'm just collecting fees. Yeah, it'll go up some, it'll go down some. But guess what? We're in the damn bull market. It's right here. We're right here. You know what I mean? Might as well park it somewhere that's going to at least earn you money. Because if you look at the lowest APR on any of the farms is what, 200%, 150, something like that, 150 or 200. What's the lowest one? Okay, 177%. What are you getting at your bank at an amazing rate? 5% in a savings account? So
here's
that right
the other
there.
crazy thing. So it allows you to earn yield on hyperdeflationary assets. So that Titanx is about to go hyperdeflationary. Titanx is already hyperdeflationary, and you can earn yield on it. I mean, this is unheard of. This is fucking insanity.
I know. I'm trying to scream it from the rooftops. Like, please pay attention, guys.
I'll tell you what, to speak to what you're saying, I took a large bag of Dragon X and split it into Hydra, and I stuck it in that pairing.
Yes, that's one of my biggest ones.
Like more than 5% of my Dragon X I stuck in there. And yeah, on some days, the impermanent loss is there. But I'll tell you what, as these things are becoming more and more hyperdeflationary and the price is pushing up, I'm not I'm not losing. Like, and
are you okay holding both of them? Are you okay 100%. Holding both of them?
Do I care if it's all Dragon X?
Right.
No. Do I care if it's all Hydra? No.
You see the vision. You see the vision of what Dragon X is going to be. You see the vision of what Hydra is going to be. I don't care if I'm all in one or all in the other. But here's the great thing about farms. You're never going to be all in one or the other because you're from 0 to infinity. So it's literally impossible to be all in one. You're going to have a little bit, at least, of one. And to get to that point, one of the coins is going to have to do something like this. But if you look at every single pair on these farms, there's not one pair that's like, this one's going to do this and this one's not going to do that. Minus maybe the wrapped ETH one. You know what I mean? But yeah, that Dragon X Hydra one, that's my biggest farm for sure. And then the Volt Titan X one, both those coins, bangers. Dragon X Hydra, bangers. Dragon X Titan X, bangers. You know what I mean?
Dragon X Titan X, I feel like, is one of the biggest no-brainers because of the stability that's just baked into that pair.
If you're holding the coins liquid anyway,
both just going to rise up. Just fucking
if you're holding the coins liquid anyway, take a chunk of it, throw it in the farm. You're still holding it, and now you're collecting fees on it. And again, 5% rule, 5% of your portfolio. You can do a lot less if you want, but as soon as you get more, those are the people that are complaining about impermanent loss. They're like, "Oh, I went way too heavy on this." I was like, "Dude, I never have told anyone to go more than 5%. If you keep it at 5%, that keeps your expectations level set. Level set your expectations. You know what I mean? This isn't a get rich quick scheme. This is a, hey, I'm holding these liquid. Let's make some money on it. Oh, everything's deflationary. The incentive is deflationary. Like, I don't really know how else I can explain that this is the play. And this will be the play for quite a long time. And it's kind of like, well, what the hell am I doing here now? You know what I mean? I'm over here trying to teach people LP. But now most of my LP teaching has literally gone to single side, teaching single side, and then teaching people, hey, I understand that you're not making $5 million a day in the farms. Hear me out. Hear me out. Like, it's set it and forget it. You can literally set a position, go on vacation for 2 weeks, come on back, and it's still going to be in range. Isn't that lovely? And you made fees every single day, every single second. You've been making fees. So I really don't. I'm in sales, and I feel like I shouldn't be having a hard time. It shouldn't be a hard sales pitch. It really isn't. But maybe I'm seeing things that other people aren't. It's getting the people that are just like too attached to fee envy from doing V3 LPs. Getting them to detach that mindset into a, hey, this is a more stable thing. It's better for the ecosystem because it's full range. And if you look, I mean, right now, farms is just taking over all the LPs anyway. So it's kind of like you can't beat them, join them type of thing. You might as well jump in here because you're not going to beat them. You're not going to beat this.
You said that you don't know how to explain it any better. Okay, that's fine, because you said it perfectly for everyone who rides off of intelligence and facts and numbers. Okay, for all the people who go off of emotion, bullish. There you go. I helped you out. All right, go, Jake. Sorry.
Yeah, it's just like, it's such a no-brainer that when people are like, you know what, I'm not doing this. I'm going back into liquidity providing. And I'm just like, this is how you get wrecked, dude. This is how you get wrecked. You keep chasing fees and, blah, blah, blah. Take all my stories and my history about like LPing on base. Like, take that as a story, but please don't try doing that crazy shit because it's not going to happen. We got super lucky You know what I mean? Like, I don't teach people to do stuff like that. This is safe. It's like a very conservative, very safe thing to do. And at the end of the day, what are we doing here? We're holding all these tokens anyway. Let's make some money off them. You know?
Yep.
5%. Stop crying.
Yeah. And even if it's only 80 to 120% a year, you know how fucking insane that is?
Only. That's so funny to say that, isn't it? That's so,
like
huh? Like, what kind of scumbag is like, oh, 80%?
While holding your hyperdeflation.
Stock market, you are killing it if you do 15%. You're killing it in the stock market game if you could do 15%. Yep.
But you could earn 80 to 120% a year in farms with hyperdeflationary assets that are kind of programmed to go up in value because supply and demand.
Right.
Not financial advice.
That's insane.
Hey guys, guess what happens when your LP position gets more in volume or gets more in value? You get more fees because now your position is bigger. Yep. I hope everyone heard that. As the price goes up for your coins, where's the damn camera? As the price goes up, your position is going to be worth more. Your fee percentage is going to be worth more. You're going to get more in fees. Also, there's that. There's also that. Yeah. So, and you have zero active management. No, it's not financial advice. Just don't go chasing. That's my thing, is don't chase, because if it's too good to be true, it probably is. If you see that you're going to make $1,200 in one day on a 2% degen position, you know what? Go ahead, try it. Let me know how it works out for you, because you're going to be crying. Because I see it. We have 600 members, and there are a couple that definitely are like, I shouldn't have done that. I'm out of range. Why did I do that? I'm like, dude, I told you, just go into farms, man. It's the easiest play. Right now, it's the easiest play in all of Titanx right now.
Yeah. And then in the future, people are going to be able to take. So I figured out some fucking crazy alpha on borrowing and lending in Titanx.
Hit me. I saw that. I saw that. You're like, I'm gonna say it later. Oh, you said you were gonna say it after like the 16th or something?
No, shut up. Don't say that. He didn't say that. Come on.
So October 16th, after October 16th, I'll share it, because that's when so the Ouroboros token ORX is launching October 16th, and then 3 to 4 weeks after the platform is launching. The token is detached from the platform. So I got the audits for the ORX minter. He's also gonna make it public before it goes live, but it's soon. Like I think he's launching on the 16th, so in 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
That is an interesting one, because all of the Titanx that goes into buy and burning ORX, and ORX, you'll be able to stake ORX in the borrowing and lending platform. So you'll earn borrowing and lending fees, and you'll earn borrowing and lending fees on a hyperdeflationary asset, because ORX is not minted to reward the backstop pool, is what it's called, which is stability pool and other protocols.
Yeah.
So that's going to be an interesting one to see how it plays out. But I figured out, and obviously approach with caution, give it a little bit of time, make sure the code is good, there's no errors, etc., like you do with anything. And then also use a new wallet, ideally. Like a good security thing is like everything you touch, use a new wallet, just in case, especially if it's new.
Of course.
So with the borrowing and lending thing, it's interesting, because so we're L1 within the L1, so we're detached from the actual L1. People need Ethereum to buy Titanx. Now, when somebody takes a loan on Titanx, they get USDX. USDX is paired with Ethereum, because otherwise what you get, like, this is the one edge case where it cannot be paired with Titanx, because otherwise somebody takes a loan with Titanx, gets USDX, sells it into Titanx, sells it into Ethereum, which stops the whole point of taking a loan and never selling.
Yeah.
So the USDX is the only thing paired with Ethereum, because it needs to be. But then the ORX token is paired with Titanx, follows the whole build on Titanx ethos. There's nothing wrong there. But then when you take a loan in Titanx, you'll get USDX. You can take that USDX, convert it to Ethereum, and then if people want to use it as a leverage position in the ecosystem where they want to use their Titanx without selling it, guess what they have to do with the Ethereum that they just got to get back into the ecosystem? Yeah. Now, the thing is, you don't get this on other L1s, because, for example, if you take a loan with Ethereum, you get USDL and you sell it back into Ethereum. It doesn't create that extra buy on the way back.
Right.
Which is fucking insane. That's kind of crazy.
No, I know that this guy this team is on a different level, because I'm in that chat and I hear he's getting peppered with questions day in, day out. And the way he answers these questions, I'm like, fuck, this guy's smart, dude. Like, damn, this guy knows what he's talking about. Either that or, he's really, really super smart. And he answers every single question, not a problem. Every single question. Anytime someone's like, well, how do I get this? He's like, oh, blah, 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 blah. But he'll answer like a 5-word question with like 5 bullet points. Very extremely thorough and comprehensive. So I had asked him in the chat, I'm like, dude, how much code is this? Like, how many lines of code is this damn protocol? He's like, a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. And it's been taken. This isn't one of those things where you just come up with it in 1 month and, pump it out. They've been working on this for quite a while. So, it's going to be very, very exciting.
Yeah. Another thing on the doxing thing, because that's the biggest thing people are asking. It's like, why are you not doxed? So doxing is not a must-have to follow the ethos. It's a very nice to have, because when you're doxed, you have way, way, way more built-in marketing, because people can hear a voice, they can see a person, they can see how he's thinking, how he's acting, etc.
Sure.
But doxing was never a requirement. The build on Titanx ethos is get the code audited, make it fair launched, make it fair when it comes to builder reward, etc. And then audit it, publish the audits before launch, make everybody aware.
Yeah.
Pair with Titanx, input token Titanx, etc., etc. Burn, stake, lock percentage of Titanx, which is definitely doing since it's the borrowing and lending protocol.
Right.
So the ORX token is, so you create the ORX through Titanx. So you need Titanx to go into the ORX minter. ORX, which is a token, the hyperdeflationary token that can earn fees from borrowing and lending, is paired with Titanx. So it's following the build on Titanx ethos. So if you want to dox yourself, and doxing is like, it's just basically a voice. A voice is enough. Look at Mike Dean. He built a bunch of trust just through his voice and doing stuff for the community. So you don't even need to show your face. But some people want to do that, some people don't. So doxing is not a requirement, but as long as the ethos is intact and there's audits and we can see the code, that's all we need to trust at the end of the day. But if you want to make it way easier to get adoption, definitely get on streams and talk. It's 100x easier. So now he's overcompensating by sending a bunch of messages and responding in depth and being super active.
Oh, yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if at one point he'll voice dox on streams.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Super shadowy.
Eric
That's
is
his name.
Eric's going to be the face of it. So,
well, sort of, kind of. Like we're all going to be kind of talking about it since it's in the ecosystem.
Well, that and they also have the multi-sig, right, with Eric and Dude.
Yep.
So it's kind of like, okay, well, everyone knows Dude, everyone trusts Dude, everyone knows Eric. At this point, everyone trusts Eric, and then Mike Dean did, and kudos to Mike Dean, because I don't know one person in this entire ecosystem, minus you or Eric, that could have just gone on live stream and walked through the mechanics of that protocol without someone being on the other end. Because I mean, he did a great job walking through that, and there were points where I was like, "What? How did you get to there?" And yeah, so I remember talking to Mike. I was like, "Dude, I don't know how you got through that, but wow, good job, bud. Yeah, awesome job."
Yeah, that was a long ass stream, and
that was a very long one. It was like 2 hours. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah,
going through the mechanics of something. So that just goes to show everybody, like, the kind of people and the kind of projects that are in this ecosystem. This isn't some, I have $40, so I'm going to go whip out a bullshit coin that's going to nuke in 15 minutes. Like, yeah, it's intense over here. It is very intense.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't wait for people to wake the hell up and be like, oh, man, they got some shit cooking over here.
Oh, it's
I woke up. I'm woke to Titanx, my friend. You know what I mean? That's it.
Yeah, right now we only
use that word.
Only
for Titanx, Mo. Calm down, bud. Calm down.
Yeah, so at Titanx you only have 14 protocol, not 13.
Only 13. That's funny.
Do you want to address
only 13? There's only 13.
Yeah,
right.
Hey, the verse. Yes, I do skip. I do a jump rope and shadow boxing.
Dude, jump roping is way hard. Jump roping is so hard. And
guys,
for a fat kid like me.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean the thing with big legs, I never like big legs because especially if you do MMA and stuff, it's fucking annoying to like triangle people and stuff when you have big legs. So I've always been like athletic. That's it. That's the goal.
Yeah.
I have a really good friend. Go ahead. I was going to sidetrack us even
13 protocols on top of Titanx.
13 protocols. We're not even
what's your prediction? Yeah, I haven't even hit hyperinflation yet because another like positive flywheel that's operating in the back is as Titanx and build on Titanx keeps doing really, really well for people. Every protocol that gives people some kind of return or ROI is funding the future builders. So as this ecosystem gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, you get more and more and more well-funded builders that want to get back to the ecosystem and make money in the process in the fair way using the ethos. I think this can get absolutely insane. I wouldn't be surprised if we get 100 protocols.
I heard you say 50 or 53 by next year. Steve's coming out with 37 in like a week or two. You know what I mean? Like this guy's just
good point.
I'm building everything. I'm coming for you, motherfucker.
I got 8 pillars. Like
I was just like, he's like, you guys are really gonna like what I have coming. He kept saying that, and Steve is so chill. He's like, yeah, you're gonna like it. I think you're gonna like it. And he's like, bam, I'm building on this. I'm building on this. I'm building on this. I'm building on this. This one's getting some. This one's getting some. And I'm like, well, I don't know where Jake got his 53 from because we're about to hit that in December. So,
but Steve is going for it, man.
Dude, he's so inspirational. He inspired us. He was the inspiration for us. Absolutely.
Hey, Morpheus is on there now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, look at this, man.
Oh, also nice.
And pow, 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 pow.
We're at 15. You got 12 more on the books. Hey, question.
Oh, those are on deck.
Is Shogun now just officially X28?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So there's no more Shogun.
I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why Mike Dean never changed that one.
He's like, cool name, man. It. That's a badass name, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it is.
I can use it for something else. I have a
that's
bunch
a really cool. That's
we'll
really
keep it up there. That'll be your hyper deflationary one that you're gonna come up with.
Maybe.
Yeah, there you go. The Shogun.
Look at all these, man. Oh, by the way, when we were about to announce that we were cooking, was the same day that Mike Dean was like, "Hey, I'm cooking on hyper, guys," and I was like, "Ah!" So I get on the phone with him real quick. I'm like, "All right, dude, what are you doing?" And we kind of swapped back and forth a little bit about because one thing you don't want to do is step on anyone's toes, right? And God forbid, I'm not stepping on the prodigal son of Titanx. I'm definitely not stepping on his toes. And now it's like, okay, how can our protocol work with yours, and how can we work together? So as this, I'm starting to see now, I'm starting to kind of get it, and you don't really get it until you really dive in and start building, and then you start talking to people. You're like, hey, how can we help you guys? How can we help everyone? But I really like what you're doing over here. How can we kind of do some stuff? I'll shoot you some stuff. You shoot me some stuff, and we bam and just absolutely nuke. Because at the end of the day, the idea is our focus is hyper. You know what I mean? And we all came to the same conclusion. That's like, here's the hyper Telegram channel. Everyone's like sad as hell. They're like, oh, they're not building on us. Why aren't they building on us? And then we're like, bam, Mike Dean's coming out. Titans of LP are coming out. There's another one coming out on top of that. Boom. Here comes Steve. You know what I mean? And now the hyper chat, boom, invigorated. Just a lot of energy in that chat now. It's awesome. A lot of energy in that chat. Yeah, it's awesome. Because they're like, yes.
Because hyper was just fine on its own. Like, just operating, doing its thing.
It was sleeper. It was a sleep. It was just kind of doing. It's kind of like Hydra too, right? Hydra, everyone was like, "Ooh, new shiny thing, new shiny thing, new shiny thing, new shiny thing," and then Hydra just in the background has just been boom, 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 just chugging along. And you're like, wait a second, Hydra's been going up like a steady 3% every day for the past week. Is it no one talking about this right now?
You mean Hyper?
No, Hydra.
Hydra.
Hydra was just going up and up and up. It came down because someone decided to sell $111,000 in one clip and took 25% slippage in one fell swoop. That was awesome. I was like, that was silly. But ever since then, it got all the way down to like 8.0. Now it's back up to like 9.4, just right back up.
Oh yeah, and so Hydra had roughly $8 million in his buy and burn before Titanx started running. Now it's up to 14.5 million.
That's silly, and that's with
That's silly. That's with Dragon X being down on the Titanx.
Yeah, we really just laughed at that.
And
there's 3 million.
Still good.
There's still 3 million in the Hydra Vortex, and the Hydra buy and burn is almost up to 500,000 already. That was almost empty, and we're back up to. I think it did go empty. So it's like it just keeps refilling as the adoption keeps coming back in. It refills over and over.
I just don't think.
So with the Hydra buy and burn is basically so it buys Dragon X with Titanx first, then puts it in the Dragon X buys Hydra vault. So it kind of flows from one bucket to the other. So as the buy Dragon X starts increasing, it'll start feeding the Hydra buy and burn. So it's a two-step buy and burn, this one, because I wanted to separate the intervals.
Yeah, there's 17 million in pressure there.
Is that good or?
Is that what does high score mean? Is that bad?
You know what I mean? Yeah. Did I break it?
Is that bad? What does that mean?
I hope everyone realizes that this is like an army now, and just ready to go to battle. And by the time everyone catches up, it's like this whole ecosystem is already so far ahead of everything else. Everyone else is just waiting for ETH. Everybody, every other system, everyone waiting for ETH. Oh, what's ETH going to do? What's ETH going to do? Well, maybe this one random guy has a lot of money. He's going to dump into our token. Hope that happens. You know what I mean? Here, we don't give a shit about any of that. We don't care. We got buyers 24 hours a day.
Hey, look
7 days a week. Just buyers.
No one even cares. There's your V2. We don't even care. We don't even talk about it.
I haven't looked at that page since
That's the first time I've looked at it in weeks.
It's like
also go to Hyper. Go to app.hyper.win. Yep, buy Titanx. That's $5 million there as well.
Go lay down.
Buy Titan.
No, go lay down.
And you got almost $1 million in the Hyper part, and then the buy-in, the Vortex is already up to 140,000 because that just got used recently. So
yep. Yeah. And then on day 369, we have another 3 million coming from the staking payouts that Dragon X is going to use, and Helios. Man, this is good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff.
And then you all right, this is a perfect segue to that. The other day we were on stream. I think it was like the I don't know, it doesn't matter. My buddy hopped in chat and he actually got on the chat and he was like, "Hey, awesome to see you here." And I was like, "Holy shit, that's my buddy in real life." So at the end of the day, I talked to him and he was like, "Hey, who are those guys that you're on?" That one dude with the hat, he seems smart as fuck. I'm like, "That's the founder of the fucking ecosystem." He's like, "Oh, you're streaming with the founder?" I'm like, "Yeah, bro. That's the fucking." Apparently I didn't teach you enough because you didn't know I'm fucking streaming with the founder. Yeah.
He sounds really smart. He sounds
really smart. He should probably do something one of these days with something. Oh yeah. I'll let him know. Yeah, that was awesome. I thought that was funny.
Oh, my dog is going turbo right now. Dude, chill out.
All right. Bro. Well, we are at almost 2 hours and I have to cut it off firmly at 2 hours. So
you're good, man.
That was as good a time as any. Jake, is there anything you want to talk about?
That was beautiful, man.
We got it's coming out in a couple of days.
Yeah, we have a bunch of launches coming up in October, so that's going good. And then after October, we enter hyperdeflation. That's when the real fun begins. You thought it was fun now?
Dude, are you kidding me?
You can't mention that without starting to smile.
I don't think the average Titanx brain, we can handle that. You know what I mean? Like we're already, everyone just already euphoric. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, these guys are coming out with something. Oh, these guys are coming out with something. Oh, these guys are coming out with something. It's like, and we're still not hyper deflationary yet. Just wait. Like what? What?
Right? Yeah, but we've been deflationary for like almost 13 days in a row. So
I saw that.
Things have been going good. Yep.
So how about a prediction on Ouroboros?
What kind of prediction?
What type of prediction?
Well, yeah. How much Titanx goes in 24 hours?
Ooh.
I mean, if you
Excellent
average out
question.
the recent launches, probably 2 trillion, like in the first few hours, 1 to 2.
Okay.
Seems pretty reasonable because like almost everything gets it. Like Element 280 almost has 2 trillion now.
Once it gets to
Also,
10,
Next
that's
had
it, right?
roughly
With Ouroboros, right?
10 trillion
Once
is
it gets
the max
once
that can
it
go
gets to
in.
10,
Yep, 10 trillion is
I
the
think
max
it
that
could
can
pull
go
that
in. And then
in.
it's
I
capped.
think it absolutely could pull that in a week. I don't see why it couldn't.
Explain that a little bit. 10 trillion is a max that can go into Ouroboros,
Yep.
and that involves making the ORX token, correct?
Yeah, so it's a different launch phase where it's not a timed mint, it's not a cycle. It's literally just the moment 10 trillion Titanx hits, and as you pass 1 trillion, it starts ticking up and how much ORX you can get per Titanx. And then once it hits 10 trillion, that's it, it's capped. So it could happen in an hour, it could happen in a month, it can happen in a year, who knows? But it's just 10 trillion and it's capped. That's it.
Well, Shrey's not in the chat, so maybe it'll actually last more than a couple of minutes.
Yeah, but it's going to be interesting to see how an undoxed founder, because he's building trust in other ways. He's tweeting a lot. He's answering a lot. He's very in depth. Because he's been
Very
around
in-depth.
since the start of Titanx. Because I remember talking to him on day one. Like he's been around heavy on everything. So me and him talk a lot. So we'll have to see. But honestly, trust the code, trust the audits, read through everything, understand everything, be safe, be secure always. Because even if somebody shows their face, it can be faulty code. Something can go wrong. So always be safe, always be secure, and just treat it like another Titanx launch. Do your research and then come to your own conclusions.
Oh, he put a timer. There's a timer on their Telegram channel. It says 2 days, 13 hours. Ouroboros launches.
Yeah, he said the 16th, I believe. Right? That should be 16th.
Yep.
Yeah, that's 16th.
Jesus.
I know, it's crazy how fast this stuff goes. Okay, so Johnny, then I'll hold your feet to the fire on the question. How long before that 10 trillion gets filled? What do you think? Go ahead, guess. And this is all being said with we're all a bunch of people just fucking talking. We don't know. We're just
10
guessing.
trillion with whales that understand the game. 1 week.
Okay. I'm gonna
maybe sooner, but I know what's in our little 600 person Telegram, what kind of money's in there. And these guys that know how to play the game, that know how to do all this stuff. Yeah, I can see 10 trillion getting filled in a week. I'm not saying it will, but I can see that happening for sure.
I'm going to go really ambitious, and I'm going to say that 10 trillion gets filled on a more like a Hydra timetable, and you get maybe even half a week on that.
Oh, and
I think Hydra actually
Hydra
got its 10 trillion super fast.
Oh yeah, don't disrespect Hydra like that. Hydra did it in like 10 hours.
Hydra got it. They did it in less than a day. I know. I saw you stretching, being like, "That's not what happened. That's not
Don't
half
you
a week
disrespect.
isn't what happened."
How dare you?
I'm not trying to put pressure on Ouroboros, but no, all respect to Hydra. Hydra got 10 trillion in like less than half a day, maybe half a day at that. But yeah, easy on the first day. It was well past 10 trillion. That was wild.
Yeah, my
guess
guess
at this point
because it's gonna be a community test as well on how undoxed founders. I still have the prediction that he's gonna come on a stream just using his voice because he's starting to warm up to the idea because he's done it to a couple people, like he's talked to them, he's not just behind the screen. But probably like anywhere between a week and a month is my guess.
Okay. Shame on y'all for not having the fake. That's going to be Hydra 2. I don't know. I have no idea.
I mean, it is a
Well,
pretty sick idea. It's a very, very ambitious project. So as long as the audits are good, code is good, play around with it, look at it, be careful. So with the ORX token minter, it's safer because it's just a token. Like it's a little bit complex on the game theory part of it, but it's just a token. But then the actual platform, be safe there. Just make sure you read the audits, read the code, make sure you see loaning going on, stuff's happening. Because like these borrowing and lending platforms, they're going to be here for the next 1,000 years. Like they're going to be forever on the blockchain. So there's no rush getting in day one. It's going to be a tool for the community. They're going to be able to take loans on almost anything. Like it's going to start with, I think, DragonX, Titanx, and maybe Baby DragonX. I saw it in your voice somewhere. But pretty much all high liquidity ecosystem assets are going to be supported to borrow and lend against. Well, to borrow against. Wait, why do I keep saying borrowing and lending? It's basically it's a better version of liquidity. if anybody knows what it is.
Yes. Okay. Awesome. So we got that coming out. We got a crazy October coming out in which we have a lot of launches, a couple of which I know are priming to get into October, and they haven't even announced yet. So, like you keep saying, October is going to be nuts. We're not even halfway through. And it's like the first 2 weeks were like the slow period of October.
Imagine. Oh, now Farms was pretty massive. Like Farms is thick, and that's gonna be it forever.
Farms is sick. Look, we're at 49 trillion, maybe. I think we slightly ticked up because we had a little bit of supply come out. We're at 49 trillion. If every one of the protocols that's known coming out takes 1 or 2 trillion, if Ouroboros gets its 10, if X28 does a launch like we all know it's gonna probably fucking do, we're running out of Titanx, people. So I hope you have enough Titanx, and I hope you guys are looking at some of these undervalued protocols, because not financial advice, but most things in our system don't stay undervalued for long, and most things have more things built on top. So read between the lines, do your own research, look around, see what's available, and have some fun in the system, because we're getting into the Titanx bull run. Let's fucking go. All right, Johnny, last words, then Jake.
Oh, I'm going to keep it very simple. If you guys don't come from ridiculous economic education, I highly recommend just watching a couple YouTube videos on supply demand curves. Okay. Then go watch a YouTube video on double coincidence of wants. Okay. Watch these 2 videos and you'll get a very good understanding of what's going to be happening very shortly. Double coincidence of wants and supply and demand curves. Just know that. Just know what that is. And then you'll be able to rest easy knowing that that's what's going on right now. That's all I got, Mo.
I'm going to go watch that video. I think I know what it is, but maybe I need some economic education. You never know. You can never have you can never have enough of that, you know? Yeah, and then on my end, obviously none of this is financial advice. It's all hypothetical. We're just talking on stream. But things are about to get exciting for Titanx. This is what we've been waiting for so goddamn long. Hyperdeflation, baby. Finally.
You can't not.
I can't shut up about it.
I mean, like, bro, every time you start to talk, you're like, and then it's going to be like, bro.
Yeah, what's going to happen once we are hyperdeflationary? You know what I mean?
Oh, I know. Like, then it's a whole.
We're not going to be able to say, just wait. We're going to be like, we're hyperdeflationary. So do with that information what you will. You know what I mean?
All right. It's going to be nice. It's gonna be nice. What kind of a fucking send off is that? It's gonna be awesome. That's what it's gonna be. Let's fucking go. These guys are nice. I appreciate them. I fucking love you. I love the community. I love all you guys. Have a great day. Have a great week. Get ready for Ouroboros. I hope you got into Element 280. I hope you're getting into Awesome X. Good things are coming. Not financial advice. We'll see where this is all gonna go. But guys, let's fucking go. We're going to the moon. All right, stay tuned for this little outro video. Titanx conference in less than 2 weeks. Hope to see you guys there. Peace.